Have you ever felt trapped in a situation where you don't feel good? Do you feel confused or insecure in the middle of conversations that make you think you are wrong or have no other choice? That is the subtle art of manipulation, a tactic as old as time, but as fresh and relevant in our lives today as it was in the time of the ancient Stoics. A sign that we may be being manipulated without realizing it is when our thoughts and opinions are constantly ignored or invalidated. Imagine this. Even Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in Roman history, warned us about the manipulations of those who would seek to use our own virtues against us. In today's world, filled with instant communication on social media and endless opportunities for manipulative comparisons, we can sometimes feel like we are being pulled in directions we never chose to go. The wisdom of Stoicism offers us not only a shield, but a way to navigate through these waters of manipulation with grace and personal integrity. Stay with me. In this video, we will explore the signs that you are being manipulated without realizing it. We are about to take a deep dive into the teachings of Stoicism that can empower us to reclaim our freedom, our choices, and our inner peace. Manipulation is a form of social influence that seeks to change the behavior or perception of another person without their consent. Manipulative people use different tactics to achieve their goals. Each piece that makes up this puzzle is essential to strengthen your defenses and expand your understanding. By assembling it, you will be equipping yourself with the necessary tools to face the challenges that await you along the way. Sign number 1, you feel like you constantly have to prove your worth. Imagine that you are in a relationship or situation where you feel like you are constantly being tested, always having to prove your worth, your love, your loyalty over and over again. It's like your value as a person is always in question, and no matter how much you give, it never seems to be enough. Now let's pause for a moment and think about this. Through the lens of Stoicism, the Stoics, those ancient philosophers who were concerned with inner peace and resilience, had a pretty clear stance on the matter. They believed that our value is inherent, not to be swayed by someone else's demands or judgments. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor and philosopher, once wrote about the importance of being true to oneself, regardless of external pressures. He suggested that the opinion of others should not disturb our inner tranquility. So when we find ourselves in these endless tests of worth, what we are really dealing with is a manipulation tactic that attempts to make us doubt our intrinsic value. This is especially toxic because it can lead us to overextend ourselves, to pour our energy and affection into a bottomless pit, hoping that this time will be enough. But here's the Stoic twist. It's not about proving our worth to others, but about recognizing our own worth and standing by it. It's about setting boundaries and understanding that no one has the right to make us feel less than who we are. So why do manipulators do this? In the words of Epictetus, another Stoic heavyweight, we have control over our own perceptions and actions. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. The Stoic approach to breaking free from this cycle is simple but profound. Know yourself, respect yourself, and don't let the quicksand of someone else's approval define your worth. It's about moving from external validation to internal peace, understanding that you are enough just the way you are, and when someone tries to make you prove your worth, remember that you don't have to take that test. You already passed it simply by being your authentic self. Sign number 2. Shady communication. It's like walking through a thick fog where you can barely see what's ahead or even grasp the true intentions behind the words. When they talk to you, this shadowy communication often takes the form of passive aggressiveness, those moments when someone's words say one thing, but their tone, their actions, scream something completely different. It's like trying to read a book with half the pages torn out. You get the gist, but the full story remains elusive, leaving you to fill in the blanks, often with doubts and insecurities. The ancient Stoics had a powerful antidote to this kind of manipulation: clarity and directness. They valued direct communication and believed that the truth, no matter how blunt, is always preferable to a comforting lie. Marcus Aurelius, for one, emphasizes the importance of saying what you mean and meaning what you say, a principle that pierces the shadows of communication like a beacon of light. But why do manipulators love to live in these shadows? Because ambiguity is your ally. By not saying what they really mean, they avoid responsibility. Sounds familiar? It's a way to keep you guessing, to keep the power dynamics tilted in their favor. After all, if you're always trying to decode their true intentions, you're less likely to challenge them or assert your own needs. Stoicism teaches us to look beyond the surface, to search for the intention behind the words. They remind us that while we cannot control how others choose to communicate, we can control our reactions. We can seek clarity, ask direct questions, and refuse to play the guessing game. And when we encounter those who persist in communicating from the shadows, we have the power to choose not to engage and step back into the light of clear and honest interaction. In our interactions, let us strive for the Stoic ideal of candor, and do not be afraid to ask for clarification, to express our needs and expectations openly, because by doing so, we not only dispel the shadows of communication, but we also invite others to come into the light with us. Remember that a conversation should not be a labyrinth. It should be a clear path marked by honesty and respect that leads to understanding and connection. Sign number 3, gaslighting. Imagine being in a maze where every turn you make seems right, but somehow you end up wondering if you've been going around in circles. In the area of personal interactions, it is a manipulative tactic. That makes you doubt the very essence of your reality, your memories, even your sanity. Someone deceives you by denying things they have said or done, or by twisting the truth so skillfully that you begin to question your own perceptions. Focusing on the power of our mind and perception offers a guiding light out of this maze. The Stoics taught the importance of trusting one's own judgment and the evidence of the senses. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, urged us to differentiate between what is under our control and what is not. It is our perceptions, our beliefs, our judgments that are under our control. So when faced with gaslighting, the Stoic practice of relying on one's own perception of reality becomes a crucial defense. But why is gaslighting so effective as a form of manipulation? Because it takes advantage of our fundamental need for stability and truth in our understanding of the world. By shaking the foundations of our reality, the manipulator gains control. It is an insidious form of manipulation because it makes you dependent on the manipulator for validation of your reality. Suddenly, the maze doesn't just confine you, it becomes your entire world, with the manipulator holding the map. This is where Stoicism helps us reclaim our map. It teaches us to trust our internal compass, to trust our ability to perceive and interpret our reality accurately. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, emphasizes the strength that comes from within, a resilience that no external force can diminish, and he would advise us to remain firm in our truths, to remember that our perception and judgment, when reasoned and reflective, are powerful guides to get out of the labyrinth of gaslighting. Freedom from gaslighting begins with this Stoic understanding. We may not control the actions or words of others, but we can control our response to them. We can choose, we can seek support, we can document our experiences and trust the evidence of our senses. And most importantly, we can remember that our reality, our truths, do not need validation from those who would manipulate them. So, if you ever find yourself in the maze of gaslighting, remember the Stoic teachings, lock in your perceptions, trust your internal compass, and convince yourself that your reality is not for others to define. By standing firm in your truth, you will find your way out of the maze, into light and self-assurance. Sign number 4, lack of respect behind humor. Imagine you're sharing a laugh with someone and then, out of nowhere, a comment is made at your expense. It stings you, but before you can process it, you're hit with the classic, "I'm just kidding." And suddenly you're left in this strange limbo where you feel hurt, but wonder if you're just being too sensitive. Here's the thing. Humor is a beautiful part of human connection, but when it is used as a disguise to disrespect or belittle someone, it loses its lightness. It becomes a tool of manipulation, a way to test your limits under the guise of comedy. The Stoics, with their emphasis on respect and dignity for oneself and others, would likely see this tactic as a deviation from the path of virtue. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher who spoke about the importance of harmony in relationships and strength of character, would probably suggest that true strength lies not in putting others down, but in elevating them. So when someone hides disrespect behind humor, it's not just a personal attack, it's a reflection of their own insecurities or inability to engage in genuine, respectful communication. But why do some people resort to this tactic? Well, it's a way of asserting dominance while maintaining plausible deniability. It's like saying, I can disrespect you, but you can't criticize me because everything is fun. This is not just about you being overly sensitive, but about recognizing and confronting subtle forms of manipulation and disrespect. Stoicism teaches us to maintain our inner peace and dignity, regardless of external provocations. Marcus Aurelius would probably advise us to respond to such situations with equanimity and reflect on the intentions behind these jokes. The goal is not to retaliate, but to understand that we have the power to choose how we let others affect us. Stoicism also reminds us of the importance of direct and clear communication. If a joke hurts, it's okay to say it, so it's okay to set boundaries around what's acceptable and what's not, when navigating the murky waters of humor as manipulation. Remember the Stoic principles of respect, dignity, and self-awareness. Understand that your feelings are valid and that you deserve to be treated with kindness and respect, even when it comes to jokes. And perhaps most importantly, remember that true humor brings joy and connection, not discomfort or pain. So the next time you get hit with mean and disrespectful jokes, stand firm in your truth. Navigate a world where laughter is a bridge, not a barrier. Sign number 5. The manipulator plays the victim. Imagine this scenario like any conflict. A disagreement arises, and instead of a mutual effort to resolve it, one of the parties instantly transforms into the victim, the aggrieved one, the one who is not at fault. This isn't just about seeking sympathy, it's a calculated move to deflect blame, evade responsibility, and manipulate the narrative. From a Stoic perspective, this behavior fundamentally clashes with the philosophy's emphasis on personal responsibility, honesty, and the pursuit of virtue. Stoics like Epictetus believe that external events are outside our control, but how we interpret and respond to them is completely within our control. He who plays the victim card denies this power and instead seeks to control the external by manipulating perceptions. But why is this tactic so effective? Because it takes advantage of our compassion and our innate desire to help those who suffer. When someone plays the victim, it triggers a response in us to alleviate their suffering, often at the cost of our own needs and sometimes even our understanding of the truth. It is a powerful form of emotional blackmail that puts us in an impossible position. Challenge the victim's narrative and appear heartless, or accept it and allow the manipulation to continue. Stoicism offers a way out of this conundrum by encouraging us to seek clarity and truth above emotional reaction. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, urged us to look beneath the surface to understand the nature of things and act with justice and integrity. When faced with someone playing the victim, we are reminded to pause, reflect, and not immediately succumb to emotional manipulation. It's about finding the balance between compassion and discernment, the difference between genuine suffering and manipulative tactics. This Stoic approach does not mean that we become cold or indifferent. Quite the contrary, it means that we care and offer support wisely without allowing deception or evasion of responsibility. It's about maintaining our integrity even in the face of manipulation and encouraging others to do the same by holding them accountable for their actions and choices so that the next time you encounter someone playing the victim, you remember the Stoic principles. Seek the truth, maintain your integrity, and respond with compassion and discernment. It is a delicate balance, but it is within this balance that we find the strength to resist manipulation and foster genuine, honest relationships. Sign number 6. Manipulation disguised as generosity. Imagine someone showering you with favors and gifts of kindness. At first glance, it feels genuinely warm and perhaps even uplifting, but as time goes by, you start to notice a pattern. These acts of kindness are not free. They come with expectations, obligations, and sometimes a high price. It's not genuine kindness, it's a manipulation tactic disguised as generosity. The Stoics, with their keen insight into human behavior, recognize the importance of genuine kindness, the kind that expects nothing in return. Seneca, a notable Stoic thinker, spoke of true generosity as an act without expectations of reciprocity, because the act itself is its own reward. When kindness is offered with conditions, it ceases to be kindness and instead becomes a transaction, a tool of manipulation that exploits human decency for personal ends. Why do people use this tactic? It's simple. By binding you with the chains of obligation, they create a feeling of indebtedness. It is a psychological game where the manipulator bets on your good character, your reluctance to appear ungrateful. To ensure compliance with their wishes or demands, turn relationships into transactions where every act of kindness counts, waiting to be rewarded. This is where Stoicism sheds light on the way forward, teaching us the value of independence, of being self-sufficient, not only in material terms, but emotionally and morally. Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on the essence of Stoic wisdom, emphasizes the importance of acting in accordance with the virtue of doing what is right for its own sake, not for reward or recognition. When we apply this to the concept of kindness, it becomes clear that true kindness is unconditional. But how do we treat those who offer kindness with conditions? First, recognizing it as a manipulation tactic, and then grounding ourselves in Stoic principles. We may appreciate the kindness we receive, but we remain alert to hidden agendas. We learn to say thank you for the gesture, but we maintain our autonomy by making it clear that our actions and our choices are not for sale. As we navigate these difficult waters, let us remember the Stoic virtues of wisdom and courage. Wisdom to see beyond the surface, to recognize when kindness is used as a lever of control, and courage to maintain our integrity, to set boundaries, gently but firmly, that protect our independence and virtue. Sign number 7. They belittle your feelings. Imagine opening up to someone about a struggle or pain you are experiencing, only to have them dismiss it as insignificant compared to a supposedly greater suffering of theirs. This isn't just about neglecting your feelings, it's a strategy to undermine your experiences that make you feel small and your problems unworthy of attention. The Stoics, who placed great value on the power of insight and the importance of emotional resilience, would likely see this act of minimizing feelings as a deviation from the path of happiness, empathy, and understanding. They believed in the strength of recognizing and facing our emotions, not in belittling them. Epictetus, one of the pillars of Stoicism, taught that our reactions to events define our experience more than the events themselves. When someone minimizes your feelings, they're not just dismissing your reaction, they're trying to redefine your experience to assert control over how you should feel. But why do people engage in this behavior? It is often a manifestation of your discomfort with vulnerability or a misguided attempt to maintain a facade of strength. By belittling your feelings, they divert attention from their own insecurities or inadequacies. It is a defense mechanism, although it causes collateral damage to trust and intimacy. Stoicism offers a countermeasure to this tactic, the cultivation of self-awareness and the assertion of our right. Marcus Aurelius advised us to reflect often on the importance of recognizing our emotions without feeling overwhelmed by them. It allows us to recognize the validity of our feelings regardless of external validation. It's not about gloating or demanding universal recognition of our problems, but about affirming to ourselves that our feelings are real, they are valid, and they deserve space. So how should we respond when our feelings are minimized with Stoic resolve? We can choose to validate our own experiences internally, even when others refuse to do so.
We can strive to engage in dialogue that explains how that contempt affects us. But we also prepare to accept that some may never fully understand or acknowledge our feelings.
But that's their way, not ours. When navigating interactions where your feelings are minimized, remember the Stoic principles of self-validation and emotional resilience.
You are the final arbiter of your feelings, the one who gives them space and recognition. By doing so, you honor your truth and maintain your inner peace regardless of external affirmations or rejections. This Stoic practice not only protects us from the impact of being minimized, but also transforms our relationship with our emotions, turning them into sources of strength and self-knowledge. Sign number 8. They make you feel emotionally irrational. When someone who maintains a facade of imperturbable serenity, not as a genuine reflection of inner peace, but as a way to make you feel emotionally irrational or even infantile, applies a subtle form of gaslighting to you that makes you question the validity of your emotions and the reasonableness of your reactions. From a Stoic point of view, this manipulation tactic is a perversion of who they are. In reality, they advocate true inner calm and equanimity. Stoics such as Seneca and Marcus Aurelius valued the state of being undisturbed by external acts, but not for the purpose of disparaging others. Seek tranquility to better understand themselves and the world around them, to respond to life's challenges with wisdom and virtue, not to use your calm as a weapon against the vulnerabilities of others. But why do manipulators adopt this illusion of calm superiority? It serves to elevate them in a power dynamic. Viewing them as the rational counterpart to your supposedly unbridled emotions is a control mechanism designed to silence dissent and discourage the expression of feelings under the guise of maintaining peace or rationality. To confront this tactic, Stoicism equips us with a valuable tool: the differentiation between what we can control and what we cannot. Our emotions, our responses, are within our sphere of control. Someone else's decision to feign superiority, not so much. Stoicism teaches us to focus inward as responses to validate our emotions without the need for external approval. It encourages us to seek a state of true calm, not as a means to feel superior, but as a way to be genuinely at peace with any emotions we experience. The illusion of calm superiority then becomes an exercise in Stoic resilience. We acknowledge our emotions, express them appropriately, and refuse to be dragged into a false hierarchy where the only way to be seen as rational is to suppress what we feel. We remember the words of Epictetus, who reminded us that external appearances are deceiving and that true mastery is over one's internal state, not over others. So when faced with someone who projects calm superiority, remember that your emotions are valid and your reactions are yours to express. You don't need to compete in a game of who is more unflappable. Let's take the Stoic approach by finding strength in our authenticity and serenity in our self-acceptance. In this way, we are not only resisting manipulation, we are cultivating a deeper, more genuine tranquility within ourselves. Sign number 9, emotional blackmail. Imagine someone you trust, someone to whom you have opened your heart by confessing your deepest fears, your love, or even your sense of duty. That person knows your feelings well. However, they turn against you and might even say, "If you really loved me, you would do this," or worse yet, threaten to harm themselves if you don't comply with their demands. This is not just manipulation. It is a betrayal of trust. It is exploiting emotional bonds that should be sources of strength. Stoicism, with its emphasis on virtue, integrity, and personal freedom, offers a powerful antidote to emotional blackmail. The Stoics taught that our internal moral compass, our commitment to living a virtuous life, should guide our actions, not the coercive pressure of others. Seneca believed that true freedom comes from not being limited by external forces, including the manipulative demands of others. He would argue that succumbing to emotional blackmail does us no good or the blackmailer. It only perpetuates a cycle of harm and dependency. But why do individuals often resort to emotional blackmail? It is a sign of your own inner confusion, insecurity, or inability to form healthy reciprocal relationships. They may feel powerless and therefore resort to manipulation to assert control or emotionally anchor themselves, regardless of how this approach is taken. This is fundamentally flawed because it seeks to fill internal voids with external concessions, which is both unsustainable and harmful. To deal with emotional blackmail, Stoicism teaches us to respond with compassion, both toward ourselves and the blackmailer, but also with firm boundaries. Marcus Aurelius would advise us to face such challenges with patience and understanding, but to remain firm in our principles, we must recognize that, while we can offer support, we cannot allow our lives and decisions to be dictated by another person's emotional state or manipulative demands. Additionally, Stoicism encourages us to seek internal validation and peace rather than allowing our happiness to depend on meeting the demands of others or their approval. This does not mean that we become indifferent to the needs and feelings of others, but rather that we approach relationships with a balance of empathy and self-respect, understanding that true love and friendship never seek to imprison us with guilt or fear in the face of blackmail. Emotional. Let us remember that we have the power to choose our response, to set limits and seek help if the situation threatens our well-being or that of the blackmailer. In doing so, we honor our commitment to living with integrity, to nurture healthy relationships, and preserve our inner peace against the storms of manipulation. Sign number 10. They take advantage of your kindness. Imagine extending your hand, offering your heart, and giving from your spirit, only to discover that these gestures of goodwill are not received with gratitude, but seen as opportunities for exploitation. This manipulation takes advantage of the benevolent, those who wear their hearts on their sleeves, transforming acts of kindness into transactions, where the giver is exhausted and the receiver is perpetually dissatisfied. In the face of such exploitation, Stoicism stands like a bull and advocates a life guided by virtue and reasoned judgment. The Stoics, including Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, emphasize the importance of acting with kindness and generosity, but not at the expense of one's own well-being or moral principles. We were taught that true goodness is not measured by the external rewards it brings, but by the internal satisfaction of having acted in accordance with virtue. But why do some see kindness as a weakness to be exploited? It is often a reflection of the manipulator's own deficiency, a lack of self-reliance, a deep-seated insecurity, or an inability to genuinely connect with others. They see the kind-hearted not as soulmates to be appreciated, but as resources to be taken into account, confusing generosity with naivety. Stoicism instructs us to approach such situations with wisdom and courage, the wisdom to discern the true nature of these interactions, and the courage to set boundaries that protect our generosity from turning into folly. It teaches us that being kind does not mean being indiscriminate with our energy and resources. We must be judicious and ensure that our kindness is not only well-intentioned, but also well-placed, fostering relationships that are reciprocal and respectful, rather than one-sided and exploitative. Furthermore, Stoicism reminds us that our primary duty is to our own virtue and integrity, that we must not allow the exploitation of our goodness to lead us to bitterness or cynicism. Instead, we are encouraged to see such experiences as opportunities for growth, as evidence of our resilience and commitment to living virtuously regardless of the actions of others. So when we face exploitation of our kindness, let us lean on our Stoic principles, remain generous, but with the foresight and strength to ensure that our kindness enriches not only the lives of others, but our own lives as well. Let us remember that the highest form of kindness is that which is freely given, but also wisely safeguarded by the virtues of temperance, justice, and courage. In doing so, we uphold the Stoic ideal of living a life of purpose where our goodness becomes a beacon of hope and humanity untainted by the manipulations of the world. By paying attention to how others treat us and how we feel in their presence, we can identify signs of manipulation and take steps to regain control over our lives. Remember that challenges are inevitable, but with the right tools, you will be prepared to face them with greater confidence and resilience. And that is the essence of Stoicism, emerging wiser, kinder, and more resilient. Each moment of manipulation confronted with virtue and wisdom is one more step towards the serene inner citadel that we aspire to build within ourselves. Stoicism teaches us the importance of valuing our own judgment and not allowing others to dictate our beliefs. If we notice someone constantly dismissing or undermining our perspective, it could be a red flag indicating manipulation. Remember that you have the power to assert your own beliefs and needs, and Stoicism can guide you on your path to self-empowerment. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and strength. Remember that, in the face of life's storms, we stand not only as individuals, but as a community united in virtue and resilience. Let's continue together on the path of growth, learning through Stoic philosophy how to achieve a full and happy life.